couple months, whenever I've made a TBR or a wrap up, you've probably heard me say, I'm just reading so much slower than I used to read. And I don't actually know if that's true, because I don't actually know if I am a fast reader, a slow reader, or just a average speed reader. I have no clue. So for a fun little experiment, we're gonna figure out how quick I actually read, or just not even quick or slow, but just what speed I read at. Because honestly, I have no idea. And I think it would be fun to find out. I also want to throw out a disclaimer right here before we get further into the video, now that you know the concept, that there is no judgment on what speed you read at. Any speed is good. The amount of books you read a month are good. Whether you read 1, whether you read 30, there's no shame, no judgment. I just want to know for my own personal knowledge where I fall, not even where I fall, but when I sit down to read a book, what is a realistic amount of time I can expect to invest in the book that I'm reading. So the way we're going to tackle this today is, the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to take an online reading test, because I do want to see where I fall. Even though I believe an online reading test, it's going to be like words per minute I can read, and that's not very useful just for the type of reading I do, reading novels, reading nonfiction, just reading books in general. A words per minute doesn't really matter much to me, but I want to start with a baseline, and then I'm going to read for 30 minutes at a time from a book that I'm already reading, and we're going to do it 3 different ways. I'm just going to read with my eyes the first time, the way I normally read, and then I'm going to read along with the audiobook, and then I'm going to read tracking with my finger pointing at each word I'm reading, like we do in elementary school when we're learning how to read. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to try it out. We're going to see. I'm just going to do 30 minutes at a time, and then we'll just multiply it by 2 to get how many pages. That would be an hour, because I feel like a pages metric is going to be a lot more useful for me than a words per minute metric. Let's dive in. Let's see how I'm going to do, because I honestly have no idea. So we're going to start with the reading test. All right, so I'm just using free reading speed test. There's tons of ads. I'm going to try and not have you see all of them. So we're going to pick the theme. Let's do general, since I don't know what I'm doing. Select text complexity. I have no idea what that means. So we're going to start with a level 1, and then we're going to select a story. We'll just do story 1. All right, and then we'll do begin. Oh no, let's see how good my comprehension is. Oh dear. Oh, I got one wrong. Okay. So what does this mean? All right. My reading speed was 374 words per minute. My comprehension was 75%. Okay. And the average adult reading speed is between 200 and 300 words per minute. If for success in college, you should be able to read 350 to 450 words per minute if you want to have any extra time. Okay. Speeds above 575 words per minute are typical for successful high-level executives and people who enjoy reading. Goodness gracious. Okay, well, that's good to know. Let's do this again, now that I know what I'm doing. And we're going to do general. I'm going to bump it up to 6, and I'm just going to do story 2 this time. Okay, now we're going to do the test. Oh, dang it. I always get that last one wrong. Okay, I went down to 301 because I was paying more attention, and my comprehension was still 75%. So I would say I'm an average speed reader. based off of this little test. You can let me know if you agree or disagree, but I think that's definitely what I've determined, is I am a very average speed reader, which is totally fine. You know, there's no like, you don't get a gold star for being a fast reader. It would make doing booktube content so much easier if I could read faster, but that seems to be about where I land. So now I'm going to read my book, my bookie book, for 30 minutes and see how many pages I could theoretically read in an hour. And I'm going to be reading Heat of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This is book 3 in the Kindred's Curse saga. Book 1 is Spark of the Everflame. And I wanted to pick something that I was already in the middle of, so I was familiar with the writing style, because I do think I'm definitely a slower reader when I am starting a new book, especially a new fantasy book, because it takes a little bit for me to get into the world, to get used to whatever the fantasy words are going to be in that particular book. So I wanted to pick something I was already in the middle of, that I had familiarity with, something where the writing was fairly accessible, and I feel like Penn Cole's writing is really accessible, and because I feel like that's going to give me the truest mark of what my speed is like when I'm just reading. So I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes, and I'm starting at page 320. And we'll see where I am at the end of 30 minutes. I read 27 pages in that first 30 minutes, which it would be about 54 pages if I was reading for an hour, which I think I knew. I had a ballpark idea that I probably read about 50 pages an hour. So checks out. Cool. Good info to have. In the next chunk of 30 minutes, I want to do the reading with tracking as I'm reading and see if that picks up my speed at all, but I don't want my speed to negatively impact my comprehension, so I'm gonna try and not go too fast. So I have to find like that balance of reading quickly while tracking, but also comprehending what I'm reading. We are learning a lot about the world right now, and I mean, I'm not gonna talk really about what I'm reading because that's not the point of this video, but there are a lot of secrets that are being revealed, but then a lot of secrets that are being revealed that are being annoying. So there's that. So yeah, I'm excited for this next bit to see if tracking helps me read any faster, or maybe it won't make a difference at all. Maybe I'll still be a solid 50 to 60 pages an hour type reader, and that's just what my base speed is, and nothing I do will really speed it up, but I'll be interested to see like where it falls in this next 30 minutes. I read a little bit faster. I read 33 pages, so 66 if I was reading for an hour. So a little bit speedier, which is interesting. And I don't feel like my comprehension suffered. Okay. I just have to say, I have two things that I need to talk about what I just read. One, I feel like Penn Cole got to book 3 of this series and went, oh shit, everybody's straight. I need to retcon that I have queer characters in this world, not just straight characters. So that's a little bit annoying because that, like, to not get that representation blatantly stated until book 3 is not great. I don't love it. I mean, I love these characters. I love certain characters. Let me say that. There are 2 side characters, or maybe like primary, secondary characters in the series that I really love, and they're very prominent in this book, and I adore it because I adore them, but they are basically being retconned, that one has been gay and one has been bisexual this whole time, and we just didn't know because DM, the main character's relationship with them, wasn't as deep as it is now, but I don't know. It feels a little bit like Pen Cole. It's like, oh shit. It needs some LGBTQ representation in my book. The other thing is that I am really mad at the love interest. He is being a big old dickwad, and I need him to knock it off. Because if it goes on much longer, I'm not going to want them to be together anymore. Because I think she deserves better. I don't know what his reason is. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why he's acting like an idiot, but he is. And he's got to knock it off. He's got to knock it off. So, a little bit faster tracking. I need to read to the end of this chapter so that I can start the audiobook, because for this last section, I am going to tandem read and see if I am a slower reader or a faster reader. I have been listening to this audiobook at 2 times speed, and that seems to be a good, like, it's not so slow that I get bored, but not so fast that I can't track what's happening. Next time you see me, we'll be starting this last little sprint. All right, so my battery died right in that last sprint, but I kept going because I only had, I think, 7 minutes left on the timer. And I got to page 414, which means I read 59 pages in 30 minutes while tandem reading with the audiobook. I did bump the audiobook up a little bit to 2.5 speed because I found reading along at 2 times speed was just a little too slow. It didn't feel comfortable, but 2.5 felt good. Why must everybody be a dummy? That's my only question right now, is why must everybody be a dummy? There's a problem. I know what the solution is. I know what our main character is capable of doing to fix it, but nobody else knows yet, and it's so frustrating. So, theoretically, that means, regardless of which way I go, though it's nice to know that I can use the tracking motion if I really want to, like, bump up my speed, but it seems like I'm pretty consistent across those 3 tactics, I suppose, which is nice. So theoretically, that would mean that it takes me 2 hours to read about 100 pages, which means I could read a 400-page book in about 8 hours, give or take, which is definitely faster than an audiobook, because I think for 400 pages, most audiobooks are going to be like 12-ish hours. So, not too shabby. And it means if push came to shove, I could finish a 400-page book in a day. Am I ever going to finish a 400-page book in a day? No, I am not. That is just not my vibe. I mean, maybe if I get super sucked in, I would do it, but generally, that is not my vibe. But good information to know. I'm glad I did this little experiment, because I've been wondering for a while, when I say, oh, I'm reading slow, am I actually reading slow? Or am I just prioritizing things other than reading, which is totally fine. But I think I've been saying the incorrect thing. So there you have it. That was my little experiment for the day. Let me know what you thought, because I'd be interested if you have any kind of concept on whether you're a fast, slow, or like middle of the road reader. I'm kind of glad that my hypothesis that I'm an average paced reader was accurate. It's just how I choose to spend my time not the speed at which I read. It's good to know going forward. Will this help me get out of the reading slump I am currently in? Only time will tell. Stay tuned for my next vlog, and fingers crossed that I am no longer feeling slumpy. But anyways, thank you for spending your precious time with me. I really appreciate it. If you would like to just leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's do some kind of clock or stopwatch or timer emoji. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!